brief update. So, since we're having a bit of trouble finding somebody to actually build the radiator, we've decided to pause on the radiator. So I've just got a couple of set squares to help me. And what we're going to do is start work on the rear, the boxes for the bodywork. So I've got here just a cantilever. It's actually a sash window clamp. Interestingly, I hope there's more. Well, that's going to be interesting. There's no way to... They're not complete. Alright, that's useful. Just a clip for the doors, and this is the bit that arrived the other day, and I hadn't even opened it, and I might need a knife. Oh, it's well packaged, I suppose. So we'll also take the opportunity to focus on trying to get some of the mechanicals sorted. So open up the engine properly and work out the firing order, rebuild the water pump, all that sort of stuff. And this, I hope, we'll get into it. Whoa. I've never really understood the excitement of watching people unpack things. But there seems to be a lot of satisfaction in doing the videos to unpack them. So, I don't know, swings and roundabouts, I guess. This probably would have been a lot easier with a knife. Okay, there we go. You can actually see what it is from that. So, this is 25 metres of piano hinge in brass. So that will be hinges for all of the doors. So it's actually really nice and shiny. Hopefully you can see that. So that should be enough for everything. Okay, so welcome back. Thanks for joining us. We've been having some fun with the radiator, just getting somebody to say, yes, we can build the radiator. The people we tried locally who are amongst the best in old style radiators basically looked at the tank on it and said, we don't even know how we do that. So they said, when you get it ready, we'd like to see it. You know, can you send me photographs? So there are options. There's a crowd in the UK who said, yes, we can do this from plans and photos, but the cost of that's pretty substantial. So we're just going to wait on that one a bit and see. So I thought what I'd do is I'd start looking at doing the boxes. We'll start with the woodwork, so that's something I can do here, a little less expensive. I've also looked into new tyres for it. There's a crowd in Queensland who do tyres for this sort of vehicle. They apparently don't have any big enough. The maximum they go up to is a 33 by 35, I think, or 3.5 he said. And these are 34 by 500. So it's actually a 24-inch rim. Size of the tyre is a little bit different. So I don't know whether there's something else we can get. He can get them, but again, that means ordering them in from overseas. So I don't know who actually makes them, but we'll see. So all good. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm up here so that I can measure and see exactly how far everything should be, because I've got, it's not very big car, and I didn't bring a tape measure. That was the one thing that I meant to get. There'll be a slight delay, I guess. Right. So from the firewall to the back of the chassis, it's 2.18. Exactly 2.18. Okay. So 2.18. I guess that means I've got to do a few calculations. Now, that. Okay, so that's 100 mil. I'm guessing from there to there is 100 mil. That floor line comes along and matches that. So we've got 100 mil here. But everything in front has to be built up by 100 mil. Okay. So now I've made these boards 800 mil wide, and according to this, that's 750. That's 840. Well, that's still 840 nearly. Okay. It really, the chassis looks like it tapers. That's 100 mil. That's only 50 mil. So it's obviously the inside that tapers. The actual outside doesn't. That's a real optical illusion. Wow. Okay. So width of the chassis. Actually, a little bit more. It's going to be. Actually, that's not so bad. Because that's going to be 800. I've got a little bit of room. So instead of having the sideboard coming down over the outside of the chassis, I'm going to have a little bit of room. Substantial. That's going to be 25 mil outside. Now I was looking at doing 12 mil. I might be a little short on the floorboards. On those floorboards. Alright. So I'm going to do a little bit of calculation now. And we'll just see, because I've got, from the photo, I've actually calculated the percentage there, there, and there. I don't quite know how we're going to do that, but let's do a little bit of a calculation. Okay. Wow. Okay. According to that calculation, just looking at that from the photo, and when I calculate it, I think I'm 0.5 millimetre out. So what that means is we'll need to just do a quick look on the chassis, see where things go. So we know from the firewall to the end of the 45-degree section of floor is 164.5 millimetres. And then from there to the seat front should be 530. Not an ideal lathe for this, but will it work? Absolutely. So is it stupid? No. Right. So from there, 530. That is where the seat front is, front of that. Now, the next measurement from the front to 353. Seat sits there, and that's actually going to look pretty good. It's going to be 350 above there, so I've got to get the floor to come all the way across, I think. I'll need to do some checking on that, that'll be good. Right, next, well basically from there, back, that'll be the rear box. At 840 millimetres. Okay, I think we have our measurements. So basically, this will be sitting 353, 453. The seat, the bottom of the seat will be sitting there. Wow, that looks higher than the firewall. Ah, look at that. And when you look at the actual photo, the seat appears to be higher than the firewall. My goodness me. I think we're going to get it. How high is the firewall off there? 501. Okay, so it's not actually higher. It just looks it. And that's going to be pretty close. Then the box on the rear, I'll need to do some more. I've got calculations for that. 400, that'll probably sit about that height. So she's going to be a short, squat little beastie. Alright. Well, it's now just a case of going away, working out what the actual measurements are of the various bits and pieces, and making them up so they're the right width. So 840 is what I need, less the cladding on the end. Now there is just one other little thing that while I'm up here that I thought I'd have a look at. And that, oh my goodness me, that is so close. I think I've missed very slightly with the hole at the top. But where this is blown out, I'll have to see whether I can get something that can fill that, because this section is all blown out. But that is where the brass ID plate would sit, and did sit. You can see there's actually a slight discoloration here and some holes. So that's where it actually sat. This actually looks like somebody has actually damaged that when they levered the thing off, because it would have been riveted. and if somebody wasn't going to drill it out, they actually just decided to rip it off. It's probably not as proud, not as, the relief isn't as detailed, it is detailed. The depressed areas aren't as deep. It's not as deep, that's the word I'm looking for. But I think that's going to look absolutely stunning, and we actually stamp the chassis number in there. So that's pretty cool. Alright. I think that's all for today until I go and actually get some timber. I think we've got the measurements. I'll sit down now and draw up the actual, I've got the plastic bag for that. Draw up the actual boxes. So there's a few things that I want to do before we get it out to the Sporting Car Club. We'll see how that goes. One of them is I'd like to actually clean and paint the chassis. It's going to take some work, but that actually I'm happy with the measurements. So what I do is a quick mock-up, either with cardboard or plywood, and we'll see how it looks. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.